I lost my job. I asked my stepmother for a bit of help, and at this point she starts to laugh at me, basically telling me how useless I am. Well, she must have forgot one very big secret, that I'm the one who's in charge, and let me explain exactly why. I never thought I would share my story here, but life is full of surprises, and at least this is a throwaway account. I just need to vent my frustrations, anger, and disappointment. I know it's been a long time, but I believe me, it's definitely worth the read, especially if you're dealing with a stepmother who's just plain manipulative and toxic. Alright, let me give you guys some context for my situation so that you don't get confused. I work for a big magazine company. That's why I can fund this luxurious lifestyle I live. I've always wanted to live comfortably, and that's why I work so hard. My father instilled the hard work trait in me. He's also a hard worker. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, my father ended up losing his job. I also have a stepmother with whom I've an on and off relationship with. You would think that because my father is out of a job, his wife, my quote, amazing stepmom, would step up. But unfortunately, this is simply not the case. My stepmother has always been a housewife, and it was my father who told her that she could be one because his job was paying him more than enough. Well, in this case, it's my father's fault for believing that she should not work, but enough about that. So, since my father's now out of work, I volunteered to help them out financially until my father's able to get another job or until he's able to get access to his pension fund. They're currently living in a small apartment close to where I stay, and I pay their rent for them while also helping them out with groceries and other necessities. I then managed to get my stepmom a personal assistant position at the company I work for. She's been working there for just over a month, and it seems like she's settled in really well. I'm glad that we do not work for the same department, meaning that we don't have to see each other every day. I mean, it's bad enough that I have to see her every Sunday for family dinner, traditionally, that my father started a few months ago. Anywho, on to today. I'm at work, busy writing an article on my laptop when my friend and colleague Jane walks in. She greets me and I greet her back with a smile. She takes a seat opposite of me and we began discussing our article. After 30 minutes, there was a knock on the door. My stepmother walks in with a huge smile, which is a bit odd because she hardly ever smiles, but she greets us. We greet her back. There's an awkward silence and I ask her if she needs anything and then she shakes her head. She tells me that she would love for us to go out for lunch, and I raise my eyebrows and she proceeds to say that ever since she started working here, we've never had a lunch together. Well, this is true, but it's not like we have a close relationship. I mean, why would we eat lunch together at work if we don't even go out to lunch during our free time? I agreed to go out for lunch with her, and she told me that I would find her outside by the entrance and she just needed to fetch her handbag. As soon as she leaves, Jane asks me if there's anything that I forgot to tell her. I shake my head and tell her no, and I start packing up the things on my desk. I notice Jane staring at me and asking her, "What's wrong?" She asks me if I don't find it weird that my stepmom wants to have lunch with me. Well, I tell her that it is weird, but there must be an important reason as to why she's invited me out for lunch. She tells me to keep my guard up and to be careful because she doesn't trust my stepmom. Well, I understand Jane's concern. My stepmother is not the nicest person. She has this awful mean streak, and she's always been mean and rude towards me. My friends or just anyone close to me, but I've never taken it to heart because I've always accepted her for who she is, a mean-spirited person. I take my handbag and hug Jane goodbye. She tells me to text her when I'm back from lunch, and I walk out of the office and find my stepmother by the entrance, looking extremely excited. We head out and decide to have lunch at a nearby restaurant. We place our orders and proceed to have small talk, which makes things between us less awkward. Our drinks arrive, and I take a sip of my lemonade. My stepmother slightly coughs and tells me, is there a reason why she invited me out to lunch? And I told her that I figured there was a reason anyways. She tells me that she wanted to personally thank me for getting her the job. Wow, I'm shocked. My stepmom has never thanked me for anything, even when I offered to help her and my father out financially. It was only my father who thanked me. So her thanking me for this job is something I never expected. I tell her that she's welcome. She then proceeds to tell me that she wants to work on our relationship, and I almost choked on my lemonade. Clearly today I'll be receiving unexpected news from my stepmother. She tells me that she knows that she has not always treated me nicely and that she has not been the best mother figure. Well, this touches my heart because my bio mother passed away when I was young, and I can barely remember her. It took my father a long time to move on, and he met my stepmom when I left for college, so I never really had a mother figure while growing up. When I found out that my father was finally dating, I thought that would get the mother figure I'd always wanted and needed, but unfortunately my stepmom was not interested in being a mother figure to me. And it took me a long time to accept that. So hearing her actually admit it is kind of comforting. She then proceeds to explain to me why she's never played the mother figure towards me. She says that the reason is because she's never felt that motherly instinct, hence why she's never had a child of her own. She also brings up the fact that she has a very traumatic childhood, which I wasn't aware of. My heart begins to soften towards her, and I really did not know this about her. I know everything makes sense. This definitely explains why she has such a mean streak and an icy exterior. She continues to tell me more about her life, and once we're done with lunch, we both agree that we'll work on our relationship. This honestly warms my heart because I've always wanted a close relationship with my stepmother, and even though I'd given up on the idea, it makes me happy to know that now she's willing to work on it. I know this will also make my father happy because he was always complaining about me and stepmother never spending time together, or the fact that we don't get along. So, we head back to the office and I text Jane that I'm back from lunch, and I decide not to tell her that me and stepmother would be working on our relationship because I knew that she would have said something negative to say, and honestly I just wanted to give my relationship with my stepmom a fair chance. I mean, everyone deserves a fair chance, right? Update number 1. Currently, my life is a roller coaster. It feels like everything's falling apart, and I just wonder if I will even be able to fix it. A few weeks have passed by since I had the lunch date with my stepmom, and so far things have been going well between us. We decided that we weren't going to rush it and just take things slow. I'm in my office busy proofreading one of my articles when my supervisor walks in. He greets me and I greet him back, and he looks very agitated, which is weird because he's normally always in a jolly mood. I ask him if everything's okay, and he just raises his eyebrow. He sits down opposite of me, and I can tell that he's really mad. He stares at me for a while and then shakes his head in disappointment, proceeding to tell me that he's very disappointed in me and that he can't believe that this top journalist would pull such a stunt. Well, I give him a confused look and tell him that I'm confused. He tells me to stop playing dumb because that's just making the whole situation worse. I really don't know what he's even talking about, and it really seems to be bothering him. He puts a bunch of documents on my desk and I pick them up and quickly scan through them. It looks like there was a big meeting that took place last weekend. It was a meeting for all the journalists here at the company, and it was a compulsory for everyone to attend. I never received an email about this meeting. I wasn't even told about it. My supervisor proceeded to say that this meeting was very important, and the fact that I did not even show up for it just shows how unprofessional I am, and how comfortable I've become. Well, I told him that I had no idea that a meeting was taking place last weekend. I also told him that I would never miss a mandatory meeting, and he proceeds to say, but I did miss a very mandatory meeting. And the fact that I can't take accountability or even admit my mistake just shows how I do not take this job seriously. I tell him that's not true and that I've always taken this job seriously, especially since I got promoted recently. He tells me that clearly promoting me was a mistake and that he never should have promoted me. Well, I gasped in shock and tried my best not to let my anger get the best of me. I can't believe he's saying all these things, all because I missed one meeting. I've been working here for 5 years, and I've never missed a meeting, a presentation, or even a deadline. I missed one meeting that I wasn't even aware of or had any acknowledgement about, and now my professionalism is being questioned. With a straight face, he tells me that I will no longer be working here and that I'm being fired. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up as he says those words, and I can feel the tears in my eyes, but I try my hardest not to cry. I told him that this wasn't fair, especially because I wasn't informed about the meeting. He tells me that he has evidence that proves I was informed about the meeting, and he stands up and tells me that I am not out of this building in the next 10 minutes. He's going to call security to escort me out personally. He walks out, and I immediately start packing my stuff. I'm trying my best to not break down, but it's hard. I just got fired. And my supervisor did not even give me a chance to explain myself or prove innocence. He just flat out fired me. I've given this company 5 years of my best work, and this is how I get treated? I take my stuff and head to my car. As soon as I enter my vehicle, I break down in tears. I can't believe I just lost my job over something that could have been easily resolved. How am I going to continue helping my father? I mean, I do have my savings, but I wanted to use my savings to finally buy myself a new luxury car. But it looks like I won't be getting that car anytime soon. What am I going to do? I drive myself home, and when I get home, I just continue crying. Update number 2. Yeah, I guess I'd learned this lesson the hard way. I don't know why I had such high hopes for this. I never should have let my guard down. But this clearly shows that you can't trust everyone, especially because some people will only tell you what you want to hear instead of actually saying what they say. It's been a week since I was fired from my job, and the only person who's checked up on me is Jane, who immediately came to see me once she heard the news. My stepmother has not called, texted, or even came to see me, and the fact that Jane knows that I got fired means that my stepmom also knows. I'm hurt that my stepmom or even my father has not come to see me and just make sure that I'm doing okay. Losing my job means that I can't help them anymore, but at least my stepmother has a job. I head over to my father and stepmother's place, and I knock at the door, and my stepmom answers. I gave her a little smile, and she slightly rolls her eyes, which I find weird. We head over to the living room and sit down. Before I say anything, she tells me that my father is not around and she doesn't know when he'll be back. Well, okay. I tell her that I'm not here to see him, but that I'm here to see her. She asks me why I'm here to see her. I raise my eyebrows because I'm confused by her attitude. Isn't she the one who said she wants us to work on our relationship? I tell her that I just find it weird that she has not come to see me since I got fired. She smiles slyly and shakes her head. I continue to tell her that I really needed her and she wasn't there for me. I did not understand why, because I thought that we agreed to work on our relationship. She starts to laugh, and in between laughs she tells me that I'm such a joke. I glare at her and ask her what the hell she means. She tells me that it's my own fault that I got fired and that I should stop looking for pity because I won't get any from her. I tell her that I'm not looking for pity, and I can't believe what she's saying. She smirks and continues to say that I should have taken my job more seriously. She continues to say that not everybody's going to spoil me like my father does, and that I need to grow up and stop being such an entitled, spoiled brat. I'm shocked by what I'm hearing right now. Is this the same woman who confided in me 2 weeks ago? And is now switching up on me? I can't believe that I actually believed that she wanted a real relationship with me. Clearly, she was just lying and had her own agenda. I can't believe I was stupid enough to fall for her fake performance. I calm myself down and decide that I will not stoop to her level. I tell her that it's funny that she's calling me an entitled, spoiled brat, yet she's staying in a house that I pay rent for. She gives me an evil glare, and I can tell that mentioning the rent matter has shaken her up. I tell her that I definitely will not be bothering her again, and I head out. A few days have passed since I went to see my stepmother, and I'm busy searching and applying for jobs when there's a knock at the door. I answer, and it's Jane. She tells me that she has really disturbing news to tell me, and I tell her to come in. We sit down outside on my patio, and Jane starts by saying she doesn't know how to tell me this because she saw how happy I've been since I had lunch with my stepmom. I tell her that the relationship between me and stepmother is non-existent. She sighs with relief and says that makes things easier. She proceeded to tell me that the reason I got fired from work was because of my stepmother. I looked at her and asked how. She continued to tell me that my stepmom was supposed to email me the details regarding the meeting because it was organized by my stepmom's boss. I ask her how she knows this. She tells me that stepmom's boss brought it up in a meeting that took place yesterday, and that she pulled Jane aside to ask her why I had missed the meeting. Wow, this lady is evil. So I get her a job, and this is how she repays me, by getting me fired from a job? She knows very well that I love, and I've worked hard to be here. So basically, she sent everyone the email except me, but why wasn't my supervisor informed about this? Or why wasn't I allowed to explain my side of the story? Jane takes a deep breath. She tells me that everybody at the office finds it weird and strange how I was fired. Even HR was not informed about me being fired until the next day, meaning that my supervisor fired me unprofessionally and did not follow the correct protocol. Damn. I knew my supervisor was unfair, so he called me unprofessional, yet he was being unprofessional. Jane tells me that this is not all that she found out. Well, I looked at her and asked her what else. She tells me that a few days ago she was working at the office very late and she wanted to ask my supervisor something about the article she's working on. But when she got to the office, she saw him and my stepmom making out. I gasped in shock and told her to stop lying. She tells me that she would never lie about this to me, especially after something this big. So not only did that witch get me fired, but she was also cheating on my father with my supervisor. That means they're working together, which means that he's aware of my stepmother and did not send me the email. Yet he still fired me. I just need to figure out how I can prove all this. I'm going to take this lady down. Update number 3. Sometimes you have to hurt the ones you love in order to protect them. 2 weeks have passed since Jane told me about my stepmother and her evil doings. We've spent the last week obtaining evidence to prove that I was unfairly dismissed and that my former supervisor is or was having an affair with my stepmother. I don't know where I would be without Jane. She's helped me so much and I can't thank her enough. Jane managed to help me schedule a meeting with the CEO, the human resources manager, my stepmom's boss, and my supervisor. I stepped into the boardroom and everybody's already seated. My attorney takes a seat. Also, I hired him just in case, and immediately my supervisor asked, "What are they doing here?" I tell him to please relax and that everything will be revealed soon. On cue, my stepmother walks in, and I see how my supervisor's face immediately changes. My stepmom also looks at me confused, and I thank her for joining us and ask that she please takes a seat. Well, I started to explain everything. The reason I called for this meeting was because I wanted to prove my innocence and also prove that I was unfairly dismissed. I take out some documents and give them to everybody. I tell them that these documents clearly show I was never emailed the details about the meeting that took place a few weeks ago. I add that Maria, my stepmother, never once informed me about the meeting, even though she had multiple chances to do so. The CEO nods his head in agreement, and my stepmom's boss looks over at my stepmom and asks her, why didn't she email me the details about the meeting? And why did she lie when she was asked if she sent me the details? Well, turns out, my stepmother froze and stuttered, saying that she didn't know that she had not sent me the email. Her boss then asked her again, why did she lie? Because when she asked about the email, she told her that she had sent me the email and that I was lying about not receiving it. My stepmother was unable to answer the question, but then her boss proceeded to ask my supervisor why he fired me without any evidence proving that I've intentionally missed the meeting. Well, he tried to explain, but unfortunately nobody believed anything that he was saying. The HR manager proceeded to say that my supervisor fired me unprofessionally and that he had no right to fire me. I then spoke up and told them that I thought I knew the reason why my supervisor fired me. They all looked at me and I took out more documents, and once my stepmom looked at all the documents, she immediately threw the paper and started yelling insults at me. She calls me an entitled pig and continues to tell me that I'm such a spoiled brat. She wishes that my father could see what an evil person I am. She continues to say that nobody will ever marry me because I'm always just going to run to my father for everything, and that I'm the reason why her marriage to my father is falling apart. She stands up and attempts to slap me, but luckily my attorney stands in front and holds her back. The CEO takes out his phone and security is called up to the boardroom. My stepmom's boss just shakes her head and tells my stepmom that she's disgusted by her behavior. She then looks over at my supervisor and tells him that she can't believe he would risk his career and a top management position like this. She adds that she's disappointed in him too. Well, my stepmom is still just there yelling insults at me until security finally arrived and escorted her out of the building. The CEO says that my stepmother will not be working here, and she's been fired with immediate effect. I bet you're wondering what was on the document. Here's the thing about using company property and not logging out of your personal emails. You can't use a public computer and not log out because the next person will be able to access all your personal chats. And that's something that we've all been warned about. Since Jane has access to all the offices in the building, she went up to my stepmom's boss floor and, since by the reception where my stepmom works there's a computer, we took a wild guess that she was most likely chatting with my supervisor through social media. It was a wild guess, and we knew that we could find nothing, but luckily we found chats between her and my supervisor on Facebook, which she had not logged out of. This is understandable because she's the only one who uses that computer, so she probably never expected anybody to touch it. Her mistake was our gain. Even though I felt guilty at first, I'm the type of person who respects privacy, but this had to be done. Update number 4. Hey guys, it's been a month since I've exposed my stepmother and supervisor's wrongdoings. They were both fired with immediate effect, which was unfortunate, but they truly deserved it. It's just sad that my supervisor risked his whole career for my stepmom. I thought he and I had a good working relationship, yet he fired me with no hesitation, all to help my stepmom. My stepmom eventually admitted that the reason she had tried to sabotage me was because she was tired of me always getting what I wanted, and she hated the relationship I had with my father. She felt that my father always chose me over her, and she hated it. Unfortunately, I no longer have a relationship with my father because he told me to my face that he did not see anything wrong with what my stepmother did. He feels that I should have just forgiven her and moved on. I won't lie, I was shocked by his reaction to the whole situation, and I genuinely thought he would be by my side. But I guess my stepmom has her claws so deep in him that he sees no wrongdoing in anything that she does. He even forgave her for cheating on him, claiming that he understands why she cheated. He says it's because he's been neglecting her needs. Yeah, can you imagine my reaction after I heard that? And because of that, I'm no longer assisting my father financially. I've not seen or spoken to him for a month. The good news is that I got my job back. Well, I was promoted to supervisor, so I took over my former supervisor's position. This revenge was bittersweet. I mean, my stepmom and supervisor got punished for their wrongdoings, and I'm glad that I was able to expose them. But now I've lost my relationship with my father, and I don't know if he and I will ever be able to fix things. I guess revenge doesn't always come out exactly how you want it. So it looks like OP at the end of the story basically was the one that came out on top. I mean, we know that OP now took the supervisor role right away from the old boss. But I just want to touch on the comments because they're absolutely lighting OP's father up, saying he is such a floor mat. I mean, he's sitting here saying he understands why his wife would cheat, he forgives her, and this causes OP to have to cut off him financially. So I want to know your thoughts about that because the comment section was not very happy with how he was handling the situation. If you guys are new to the channel, my name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate these sort of stories every single day. So if you want more drama stories, the best way to get it is simply click that subscribe button. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and just remember one thing. It's cool to be kind. Peace.